Hi, my name's Billy, I read books, and I've read Children of Earth and Sky by Gavriel. This was published in 2017, it's 570 pages long. I loved it, I gave it 5 stars, let me tell you why. So this book is set approximately 25 years after the events of A Brightness Long Ago. You don't follow any of the characters from that story, it's completely separated, but there are references to that previous book. And this book is about spies and about espionage, but it's not about that in the way that you would think. It's more like spies and espionage in the way the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb is about assassins, as in only loosely. It's the thread that drives the story onwards, but it's not about solely that. It's about the characters and the lives. It's about family. It's about loss. It's about the afterlife. It's about how decisions and choices can have such massive ramifications. It's about honesty and truthfulness and standing by your convictions. It's a lovely, lovely, glorious, heartbreaking, brutal story. And it is fantastic. So this is multi-POV. There's some main characters who we follow, but there's lots of smaller side characters we follow as well. But each character is written with such care and such craft that these feel like real people. This feels like a living, breathing world. It's set on it's like an alternate history almost. It's based on Croatia, and it's a living, breathing world, and you feel you've just been dropped into it and you are following these living, breathing people with their lives, their motivations, their weaknesses, their strengths, their ambitions, the bad things that have happened to them in the past, and everything feels real. So even when you're following minor characters who you have some POVs from, you might only have a couple of them, and they get introduced from out of nowhere, you feel invested because they feel so different and so unique. And one of the things that guy Gavriel does really well is that he will tell you that character's outcome. So you might have a side character who you're following who's relevant for this small section of the book, and you're with them for a bit, but then it goes on to tell you how that character lives his life later on and how he ends, basically, how his life or her life ends. And this might only be in the space of a couple of small paragraphs, but it just gives you that sense of time, of depth, that these characters aren't just made up for the heck of it. These are people's lives that the author has planned out in advance. These are real, living, breathing people, and there's a sense of depth and history and ramifications for everything that happens and every decision that they make. And when you wrap that up in 570 odd pages of excellent writing, it adds to deep layers and textures of story and character development, and it's fantastic. Now, this is not a fast-paced book by any stretch of the imagination, and the story or the plot only started getting going really, or you kind of understood where it was going about 80 pages in. Things start slowly getting revealed to you about where it's heading, but that thread that is shown to you 80 pages in only really comes to fruition around about page 400, and everything in between is just spreading the story out until finally it gets to that point. And all these characters, you've got to know them, you've got to understand them, you've seen their lives, their families, the issues, the problems, the motivations, and it all leads up to around about page 400, like I say. And that's when the stakes start ratcheting up a bit more. But it's just lovely. The guy Gavriel, the way he writes, the way he does dialogue, the dialogue and the conversations are the main thing, because for me, in a lot of books, you can have characters talking to each other and it's just dumb almost, or it doesn't sound like the way people talk in real life. It doesn't reflect that. This story, there's intelligence behind everything that's being said, Every conversation, every nuance, every word that is written, every word that is said by a character is said for a reason, with a purpose, and the choice of words used to convey the message within that conversation has been chosen specifically. And it's fantastic. I love it. I love the fact this, and it's not intelligent writing or intelligent conversation to be patronising or condescending, or for the author to say, look how incredibly intelligent I am, peasant reader. Anything like that. It's just wonderfully done, and it makes you appreciate how normal or how average lots of other dialogue and conversation in books by other authors can be. And that's not me being negative to lots of other fantasy or science fiction authors. It's just me trying to get across as to just how good Guy Gavriel Kay is. Just how good and how top tier he is. So I mentioned before about some of the themes in the book and what the story is about. What I forgot to mention was art. Art is a very strong theme throughout this book, because one of the characters we follow is a painter. And that's a very important point to the entire story. What drives the story on is it's his story. It's that character who, at page 40, the thread is unravelled. The thread starts to emerge, and he's the character that you start following along with. And he is an artist, and it's what he's being asked to do which drives the story on. There's a very interesting and unusual element to the story as well in relation to the afterlife, and I can't say too much more about it without maybe spoiling it for you, but the afterlife and the reason why this is prevalent and relevant is a very interesting twist or take on the story as it develops. I don't know. I'd be interested to find out as to why this is an element in the story and why he decided to include it, but it doesn't detract from it. It adds a great deal of interest and something different, and it's something that I've noticed in the previous book I've read as well. He had an interesting take on the afterlife there as well. So just to give you a little idea of the quality of his writing, because it's not easy to do in a spoiler-free review when you've got a numpty like me talking to try and tell you how good this guy is at writing. What I'll say is, towards the end of the book, there is, it's probably about 20 pages from the end. There's just a couple of paragraphs that the author writes, which wraps up a character arc for some of the characters. And the way it's written, it's not shouted at you. It's not some big tragic scene that's just been built up and it's the final payoff. Just a conclusion to a story arc, and it just got me right there. I wasn't expecting it. I don't know why it got me so much, but I just had to put the book down and just take a minute and just experience the feelings and the emotion that he just got me to feel there. Just by no more than 10 lines. That's it. 10 lines, right towards the end of the book, and he got me. The emotions were there, the feelings were there, and that, not if I needed any other doubts that this was a 5-star book. That's what did it for me. So if you've not read a Guy Gavriel Kay book, you really do need to give him a try. Maybe not start with this, because there are tie-ins to A Brightness Long Ago, but I've read 2 of his books now, and I've given them both 5 out of 5. I can't think of another author I've done that with since I've started this channel, so give him a try. Give the guy a try. Let me know if you're going to read any of his books in the comments below. Where do you think I should go to next? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll speak to you in the next video. Bye bye.